According to the Vermont Maple Sugar Association, there are about 154 maple sugar houses in Vermont, and about 99 of them offer tours. But do you want to know where the best maple recipes are? That is, in your kitchen.
Hi, I'm Marco Ayala, and I'm here to share another recipe with all of you. And I know that it's a little early because the temperatures are still kind of low out there, but I am already thinking maple because sugaring season is really just around the corner. So before we know it, all that beautiful sap is going to start running, and then it's going to turn into this beautiful amber color maple syrup that we all love here in Vermont. I think that as one of my favorite products from Vermont, as well as cheese. So I wanted to start early. I want to bring some recipes to your kitchen or to your living room, whatever you're watching us, so you can start getting ready and think about maple. And if you're anything like me, you probably already have maple in your cupboard. So I wanted to make some recipes that are easy to make and that use everyday ingredients, because nobody wants to spend the whole day in the kitchen or make something that is overly complicated. So I decided to keep it simple, and let's start with an appetizer or a side dish. It really is going to depend on how you decide to serve this, but I can guarantee you that you're gonna love it. So let's start with these baby potatoes with maple caramelized onions. And I know that sounds absolutely decadent, and I think it really is. Bonus of this recipe is completely gluten-free. So if you have a gluten allergy, this is something that you can make for yourself or for your family. Let me tell you how to put it together, because it's all ingredients that you probably already have or that are very easy to find. First, you're going to preheat your oven to 425 degrees. While your oven is heating, you're going to take 12 baby potatoes and you're going to cut them in half. Then you're going to line a baking sheet with parchment paper or a silicone mat. Place the potato halves, cut side down, on the baking sheet, and you're going to bake them for about 20 to 25 minutes or until tender. The reason why we're roasting our potatoes instead of boiling them is because we don't want to add extra water, first. Second, we want to make sure that the potatoes actually retain their shape, which is much easier to achieve by roasting them. And third, we want to really preserve the starches, and most importantly, when you roast your potatoes, they have a little bit of an earthy flavor that is like somewhat more prevalent than if you boil them. And as a bonus, it just makes it easier. While your potatoes are roasting, you're gonna take 6 strips of bacon and you're gonna chop it. Then you're gonna take 1 large onion and you're gonna finely dice it. Finally, you're gonna take some fresh rosemary and you're gonna mince it until you get about 1 teaspoon. Then you're gonna place a pan over medium heat and you're gonna add your bacon. And you're gonna let it fry for 10 to 15 minutes. You're gonna notice that a lot of fat is coming out of that bacon. So as you can see, I decided to strain the fat out of my bacon, and then I just added a couple tablespoons back. This is going to help the fat intake so you're not eating too much fat, but it's also going to prevent your mixture from getting too greasy. Then you're gonna add the diced onion, and you're gonna let it cook for 7 to 10 minutes until the onion is translucent. Then you're gonna add 2 tablespoons cider vinegar and 1/3 cup Vermont maple syrup. And you're gonna cook it until the liquid is reduced by about half. Finally, you're gonna add the rosemary and you're gonna season it with salt and pepper. Mix it well and set it aside. By now, your potatoes are ready to come out of the oven, so it's time to assemble these baby potatoes. you're going to turn the potatoes cut side up, and you're going to spoon about 1 tablespoon of the caramelized onion bacon mixture over each potato. And to finish it off, you're going to sprinkle the potatoes with 1 cup Vermont sharp cheddar cheese. You're going to bring them back into the oven until the cheese is completely melted. I know that it sounds like it's a lot of trips back and forth into the oven, but it's absolutely worth it, and it's really not complicated. And check that out. These little potatoes, they're very fragrant with the rosemary and the caramelized onion, and they have this beautiful taste that is savory and is sweet. So I think that this is really the perfect complement to pretty much any dish. And if you notice, I'm using my deviled egg dish because I think that it doesn't get enough use. So it fits perfectly all of the little potatoes right here. So that's an idea. I bet that you're gonna try these potatoes because they're absolutely delicious. And as I said, they're fairly easy to make. So now let's move on to our next recipe. You've heard me say this so many times. I love pork, and I think that pork is a very underrated protein because it's easy to make, it's easily available, and it's not expensive. So what's not to like about that? And best is the fact that it also goes great with maple. So how about we make some maple pork chops? But these are not your typical maple pork chops where you just throw a pork chop on the pan and you throw maple. These have a few more ingredients that really make a very nice and complex sauce, but it's all ingredients that you have already in your cupboard or your fridge. So stay with me and let me tell you how to make them. First, you're gonna set a saucepan over medium heat. Add a little bit of oil or cooking spray, and then you're gonna add 1 clove minced garlic. Make sure it's well toasted. Then you're gonna add 1/3 cup maple syrup, 1/2 cup heavy whipping cream, and 2 tablespoons Dijon mustard, and mix it well. Then to the saucepan, you're gonna add 4 to 5 pork chops, and you're gonna season them with salt, pepper, and onion powder. And what makes this recipe so easy is the fact that you're just gonna let them sit there, stirring occasionally for about 15 to 20 minutes until you start noticing that they get brown. And then you're gonna flip them so they cook evenly on both sides. So it is really that easy. In total, your pork chops are gonna cook there for about 30 minutes, I will say. And once your pork chops are brown on both sides, you're gonna remove them from the saucepan. And if the sauce is not thick already, you're gonna let it thicken a little longer and pour it over the pork chops. And that's it. It's very basic ingredients. And as you can see, check that out. These pork chops are nice and juicy. And this sauce is thick. It has all these great ingredients. And we're gonna add a couple of the little potatoes here to go with it. I think that this is a meal fit for a king. And all you need really is a little salad and you are all set. So I hope you give this pork chops and these potatoes a try because as you can see, they look really good. But now it's time for dessert. There's so many recipes that use maple that it's so hard to decide on just one. So I wanted to keep with the theme of easy recipes. So that's how I decided to make this pudding chômé. And I'm pretty sure I'm butchering the name of it, but it translates as workers' pudding, according to the internet. And it's probably because it uses very few ingredients, and all of the ingredients are ingredients that you already have in your kitchen. So stay with me so I can tell you how to make this beautiful and delicious dessert from the Quebec region. First, we're gonna make a maple sauce. To a saucepan over medium heat, you're gonna add 1/4 cup butter, 1 cup heavy cream, and 1 cup Vermont maple syrup. Mix it well and let it boil for about 1 minute. Then you're gonna remove it from the heat. Then you're gonna sift together 1.5 cups flour, 1 teaspoon baking powder, and 1/4 teaspoon salt. Then, to another bowl, you're going to add 1/4 cup butter at room temperature. You're going to mix it well until it's creamy, and then you're going to add 3/4 cups sugar. And you're going to mix it until it's very well combined. Then, you're going to alternate between adding the flour mixture and 1 cup milk. Then you're going to grease an 8x8 cake pan, and you're going to add your dough. Finally, you are going to gently pour the hot syrup over the dough, and you're going to bake it at 350 degrees for about 45 to 50 minutes. And this is like one of those impossible cakes where you pour the liquid on top and then it kind of finds its way to the bottom. You see that there is that sauce at the bottom that looks so good, and the cake, it's so nice and moist. I really think that you're gonna love this recipe, and I really hope you give it a try. Those Quebecois really know what they're doing with maple. So I think that this is a recipe that you can add to your repertoire, and you can use Vermont maple syrup. And this is a great opportunity to remind you to get your maple locally, because then you know exactly where it came from and you know that it is Vermont maple syrup. And on the same note, also remember that there's going to be a lot of events coming on all over the state once that sap starts flowing, because there'll be open houses at the sugar houses. Also, we're going to be able to participate in the Maple Festival that happens in St. Albans, where there's a ton of events that all are around maple. So what's not to like? Perfect for the whole family. And also I want to take the opportunity to remind you that you can get all these recipes on the Across the Fence website that you can see on your screen right now. Also, remember to follow Across the Fence on social media. So like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and most importantly, also subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get all these recipes and all the incredible content of Across the Fence right on your phone or your computer. And with this, I am going to say happy cooking. I am going to try one of these potatoes, and also remember to get your maple locally.